What's going on, everybody? So in the past couple weeks, I've been talking to some other guys with YouTube channels. Shout out James About Trout, Jack at Fishing Jacks. And they brought up an easy topic that I think I take for granted and we take for granted at Mox and Fly Club, but that's what to bring and what to pack when you're going on a travel fishing trip. So just today I was working on booking our travel to Brazil in January. We have a new destination that will be for peacock bass and arapaima in Brazil on a private 110 miles of river with a mothership. So you're staying on a larger yacht ship for the week while you're fishing. So today was an easy day to kind of go over some of the stuff that we bring. And as a seasoned traveler for the past decade, I have a couple things that I like to bring no matter where I go. But also for a fishing trip, what to bring. And we're going to break this down into a little bit of a series. Today, we're going to be covering most of the stuff that I do bring in a backpack or a carry-on. The next one will be more about, gear and fly fishing equipment, and also some stuff to put in that checked luggage. You're usually going to be traveling for almost a whole day if you're going to South America, or you're going to be traveling for half a day at least if you're going into Central America. So we'll get at it. We're going to be going to Brazil next month and staying for a whole week on a ship. But from Denver to Miami, Miami to Panama City, Panama City to Manaus, this is the stuff that I'll be bringing in my bag. We're starting as early as I think our first flight is at like 5:15 a.m. And then we get into Manaus at about 3 o'clock in the morning the following day. So, it's almost 24 hours of straight travel. But we'll get into a couple different things and talk about, why we want to bring those. And at the end of it, I'll even have some, what I would consider a little bit more bougie luxury items to bring for those overnights and different types of flights. But first and foremost, we can get into an easy thing with international travel or domestic travel if you got to fly for a whole day. Definitely bring something to carry some water in. You can fill it up at water fountains or bottle service things in the U.S. But also when you get outside of the U.S., instead of carrying around a big bottle or carrying around multiple small bottles, I like to bring a little bit bigger water bottle. It does not have to be the Yeti brand. It can be any brand that you have at the house. But I do like to take that and strap that on the outside of my backpack with a little rubber grommet. You can put other stuff on there, whether it's your neck pillow, hats, things. But these rubber twisties, you can buy at Home Depot. They're cheap and easy, and they also allow you to kind of accessorize everything that you're going to bring when you want to. You can have multiple ones on the same backpack. I haven't had an issue with any of the airlines that I use with using different tie-on aspects to it. So number one, obviously a water bottle. I usually don't put anything in it other than some electrolyte drink, whether you're using Noon or Ultima or Liquid IV or Prime or any of them. While you're traveling, you need to be drinking water, whether you're going up in elevation or down in elevation. If you're going to somewhere that's hot or cold, always keep those fluids going. When you're traveling all day and your feet are low and you're sitting in chairs and not necessarily laying horizontal, you want to make sure you get electrolytes in your body so your circulation is going. Whenever I get to a destination, I usually take a little bit, either lay on the bed and put my feet on the wall or lay on the floor and put my feet on the wall and get that circulation going again and try to drain out any fluid that's been built up in the legs. If you're going to be standing on a boat for a whole day fishing, you want to make sure your legs are right and your body's right. So water, electrolytes, we're done with that one. The next thing that I like to bring no matter where I go is DayQuil and NyQuil. It's not the fact that I think I'm going to get sick, but if you have an off day or you have anything that's going to affect you, most of the time DayQuil and NyQuil will help out. If you need help sleeping, take some NyQuil. You have somebody in your group that feels kind of sick or has a cough, or after being on airplanes for 24 hours, something pops up, DayQuil during the day, that can usually get you out on the boat, and you can keep using them. But I usually like to take some DayQuil and NyQuil, stash it in my backpack no matter what. If I need it, it's there, and if I'm not going to use it, somebody else could be using it. But I don't want to take time when I'm traveling to a new place to figure out if they have it or what's like it or how to have it. So a little box of DayQuil and NyQuil, I throw it in there and I'm ready to go. Other things is if you take supplements or you have any medications, get yourself a pill box, line it out for what you need for the week or however many days you're going to be traveling. That pill box is real easy to keep things in there so you don't have to have multiple different bottles. It's all set. When I wake up in the morning, I can take out that day, throw it in my bag, throw it in my pocket, and I'm set to go. I take different supplements, and I also take things that help out. If your shoulder's sore, you got some Tylenol in there. If you need something to help you sleep because you're in a new time zone or you're sleeping in a bed that you're not used to, you can have those as well and get your supplements and everything taken care of. So that's kind of what I would put into hydration and supplement and any medications. Make sure that's taken care of. And I like to keep all of that on my carry-on and in my bag with me. Obviously, if you have something that's a liquid and it's more than 3 ounces, you're not going to get through TSA with it. But everything else, I can stick in a carry-on bag. Next, I like, where are my plugs at? I have earplugs. I've carried these with me all over since before fly fishing trips. If I'm on a plane and it's loud, you have somebody next to you that's snoring, somebody next to you that talks a lot, somebody next to you that has their tablet or their phone too loud and doesn't have earplugs or doesn't have headphones in, I have a set of earplugs. This also works real well when you get to a new destination and your internal clock's messed up, you're on a different time zone and it's time to go to sleep, you can pop in these earplugs. The only disclaimer, which I know from personal experience, is make sure your alarm on your phone or your watch is turned up as loud as it can be. If you get a really good pair of earplugs, you may not hear that alarm go off in the morning. If you have a roommate or somebody that you're staying with, I usually like to talk to them about what the morning's gonna be like. Do you like to get up super early? Do you like to sleep till the last minute? Do you have alarms on? Are you one of these people that can just naturally wake up at whatever time you like? How is it gonna work when you're rooming with somebody, and what is that into? Do they like to shower in the morning? Do they like to shower at night? How is that whole experience gonna go? I personally shower at night. I usually use my earplugs. I wake up to an alarm. I'll be up on the first time the alarm goes off. I'm not a 15 snooze button type person. So those things are easy to do, but definitely pack a pair of earplugs. And if you're going somewhere with people that you aren't normally with, always bring some earplugs. If they're a snorer, or if they make a lot of noise, or if they like to stay up late and enjoy alcoholic beverages and are usually loud when they come in the room, these things can save you, and it's a great experience to make sure you can get the sleep that you need, the rest that you need, or cut out any of the noises that you need to. Especially if you get stuck on an airplane seat that's right next to the engines, usually it's a little loud, you can pop those in. On the same topic of your ear and earplugs, I like to take headphones with me. I have earbuds that work really well in a box that I can get at least 24 hours of use out of. So these ones I'll use if I'm watching a movie, or if I want to listen to some music, or if I'm on a layover, but I'm trying to just take a break, I can pop these in. I'm not a big fan of putting these in and talking on my phone out loud, especially when I'm in foreign countries. So I do talk on the phone normally, but I can use these for movies, music, walking through terminals, a long layover waiting for some sort of drive. If you ever get into a long car ride with people that you may not be enjoying or you don't like the music, you can always pop these in with your phone, and that 3-hour drive out to the lodge can be a little bit more enjoyable. And speaking of electronics, I like to make sure I always carry a spare battery. So I have a small, nice, easy travel battery. This thing can do a bunch of different things. You can put in multiple cords. I can charge a phone, I can charge a laptop, I can charge my headphones, and I can also charge this off other devices. So if I'm on a long layover and this thing's low, I can always pop it in the wall and start to make sure that I have some backup battery. When you're out on the water, it's always great to have one of these in your bag. If your phone's low, or if you've been out in the middle of the river, the ocean for a long time, if there's anybody on the boat, especially the guide or the captain or somebody that needs to talk to somebody else and their phone is dying, this thing can come in to be a lifesaver. Also, outlet aspects and adapters, South America, Europe, wherever you're going to be traveling, make sure you have the right adapter and always keep that in your carry-on. If you need to be anywhere, if I'm in the Panama City airport, I'm going to need this to be able to plug into the wall. If I'm in the Manaus airport, or if I'm in the Buenos Aires airport, you're always going to need some sort of adapter to be able to get to that juice and electric to charge your battery, or to charge your phone, or to charge your headphones or your computer or anything like that. So make sure you got your adapters. Now, the last part obviously is that we have a bunch of cords, and every device has a cord, and every cord needs a different thing. I like to carry a little waterproof sack. It has a bunch of different things in it, from wall outlets to cords to my adapters to my backup battery to my headphone to anything else that I need, and I can keep that all organized and safe And this can go with me wherever I need to go. If I have a hotel room, I can leave certain stuff in the hotel room, and the rest of the stuff can go with me in the backpack. But I've been using this bag now, I think, for about 6 or 7 years. It holds all kinds of different stuff depending on where I'm traveling and what I'm traveling for. So I like to keep all that stuff organized. You don't have a bunch of wires just everywhere in your backpack. So there's that aspect. Now, if all else fails and you run out of battery and your phone doesn't and all the other things don't work, I always like to bring a book. You know, you can read a book wherever you're at. You can pass time with a book wherever you're at. Usually I have one book that I take with me on all my travels, and I slowly make my way through it throughout the year. This one is one by Rich Paul that I just got recently, but I like to keep a book in there. It allows me to, you know, disconnect from what I'm doing, or if I need to pass time, I have something that's productive for me to pass time with outside of internet, socials, YouTubes, everything else. And I also like to do anything that I need printed, I usually keep in the book. So I make copies of my passport and I put them in the book. I make copies of my itinerary and I put them in the book. I make copies of all my reservations for the lodges and the shuttles and everything else, and I put them all in the book. And I kind of use the book as more of like a file folder to keep all the different stuff that I need, anything that I need to know, anything that gets lost, anything that I need copies of. I keep it in the book, and then no matter what, I got the backpack, I can reach in and grab the book and pull out any different piece of paper. You always want to have copies of your passports. You always want to have copies of your flight itineraries. You always want to have copies of where your lodge is going to be staying. I also usually make a Word document that's all the different contacts and all the different phone numbers. From being a host on a trip, the last thing you want to run into is that you're somewhere and you don't have it readily available, who you need to talk to, where they work, what you need to talk about, what the times are. I like to put all of that stuff. And some people say that I'm a little too organized, but when I'm in the middle of another country and they speak a different language, it's real easy for me to be able to pull stuff out, and then we can work on the communication barrier. Usually a translate app on my phone is what I like to have. I don't really carry around any books that have different languages in them. But before the trip, I'm going to start to figure stuff out. What's this called? What is this? How do I translate that? What are some of the things I can put on that Word document that I need to find this person, or we're supposed to be in this terminal? All of those things are great to have and real easy if you keep them in a book and keep the book in your bag. It's, you know, one grab away. So that's kind of some of the basic easy things. Also, I like to take some immunity pills, whether it's airborne or all kinds of other stuff that you take, even if it's just vitamin C. I like to keep some of those in the bag when you're traveling and you're on airports and trains and buses and ships and anything else. You're going to be exposed to all kinds of new aspects. So keeping that immunity up is another part of the hydration, but I like to do that. The other thing I like to take with me in this bag and also on my checked luggage is a bunch of different baggies. I like to take little bags in case I need to put stuff in them. I usually take at least 1 or 2 trash bags just in case I got wet clothes. I live in the mountains, so things dry out really quickly here. But when I'm traveling, usually I have wet boots or wet shoes from being on the boat. I also am going to have some wet clothes that may not have dried out in the past 48 hours. I also have dirty laundry, so I can keep all that in a bag, kind of separate what I have. But I also like to take bigger bags in case anything happens. If you find something, or if you want to put something and you want to just organize this bag, you have different ways to do that internally. So that's some more organizational tips on it. For my travels, not only are the earplugs a big one, but on the overnight ones, I like to bring an eye shade. These things are given out on a lot of the international flights if you're flying through the night. I wasn't a big fan of them until a couple years ago. I was on a trip that was an overnight. It was definitely loud. The people in my area on the airplane were drinking and had lights on. I was able to toss this on with my earplugs and a neck pillow, and you feel like you're at home. It's dark, it's nice, you can go to sleep, it's quiet. So I've kept this one, I think it's from United, but I've had this one for a couple years now. But I usually just make sure my earplugs and the eye shade are going together. And then you have a neck pillow. I like the neck pillow. Some people like a normal pillow. One easy thing for all of those people out there that want to bring their own pillow or own pillowcase, it's really easy to pack a pillowcase in your backpack and take it with you. You just have to remember that no matter what place and what stop you're at, take the pillowcase off the pillow that you're using and continue on with it. But a pillowcase folds up to be about this size as opposed to having to bring in a big pillow with you to put with your bag. I know a lot of people that want to bring their own things because of skin routines or, you know, dermatology aspects. If you want to bring a pillow, fold up one of the ones from your house, put it in your backpack. You'll have it for the whole trip as long as you keep remembering to put it on and take it off. So that's some of the aspects that I would say are a little bit more luxurious. The eye shade, the earplugs, the pillows, that stuff. The top item that I enjoy bringing that I know not everybody enjoys bringing are some baby wipes. You can put them in a Ziploc bag like this and keep them in your backpack. If you're out on a boat or you're transporting or you're in the middle of the Amazon jungle, it's very nice and refreshing to have some baby wipes with you for whatever you're going to have to do in that situation that comes up. So I like to carry some baby wipes with me. Most of the people that have been on my boat with me know that I always carry them. They're always in the car. They're always around. It's a nice little added bonus that in a 26-hour travel day or a 10-day fishing trip makes a little bit of difference and gives you a little luxury for what you need to get done. And then sunglasses. I always have one pair of sunglasses in my bag. Usually it's a normal dark shade. I can use those if I'm on a plane or anywhere that I need to go. On your trip, though, you should make sure that anything that comes up light-wise, you bring. So you can bring low light, high light, all kinds of other different things. I usually travel with a high light and a low light lens. Anything that helps you see the fish where you're going, especially if it's new water, is something that you want to bring with you. You want to be able to see the fish. The guides are going to see the fish. They're going to try to coach you into it. Anything you can do to be able to beat the glare and see the fish you're casting at will help you 100% in trying to catch that fish. Whether it's a target species or not, whether it's a trophy species or not, if it's the fish to get the skunk off the boat or the skunk of the day off, you want to have the right ones. So I bring a pair of sunglasses in my bag, and then also in my my fly gear, I'll have at least one other pair that's a different lens just to be safe. And anywhere that you go, I like the spongy pre-wrap tape, but you should have some tape. Not only if something breaks, that you have tape with you that you can try to fix it in the middle of the jungle or the middle of the ocean or the middle of the river, but also when you're stripping and trying to chase all these different fish for 6 days in a row. I don't know how many of you are out there always casting and always stripping for 6 days in a row, but to protect your fingers, you can throw this stuff on. It's real easy. It'll last all day. I like this because it also works in the rain. I've been in downpours and thunderstorms in Argentina. I've been on rainy days here in Colorado, but the spongy pre-wrap tape will give you a little bit of protection and you still have the dexterity to move around. An easy one to take with you, which doesn't have to be this exact brand, but any sporting goods store you go to, they're gonna have a stick of sunscreen. And this stick of sunscreen is usually small enough that you can put it in your carry-on, but you can put sunscreen on your hand, put it on your face, cover anything that you need to with it. The biggest one that most people forget is they get on the boat, they take their socks and shoes off, and they fish all day barefoot in the sun. And if you're not used to that, or you have really white feet from being in the mountains like me, throw some of this on your feet a couple times a day, and it'll help so your top of your feet don't get sunburned, or the top of your knees don't get sunburned, or your hands don't get too burned, or your face doesn't get too burned. I like this one because it's smaller than an aerosol can. It works really well. It's SPF 50, so I know that I can put it on all day, and by the end of the trip, I'll have a great base. But that sunscreen stick is a great one to take, and they make all kinds of different ones for sensitive skin, for normal skin, whatever. I always make sure I have one of these in my bag when I'm traveling. When I get to the destination, even if we're not fishing, I usually throw on some sunscreen. I like to take care of my skin as much as I can. I don't want to go home and be super sunburnt or have any issues. Especially traveling home 20 hours on a plane being sunburnt is not that fun. The other one is some sort of bug spray. Some people like to have natural ones. Some people like to have things like burns. That's a little bit of a chemical. I have found that traveling all over the world, you want to have something that has some DEET in it. It definitely will help with mosquitoes and ticks, but it also helps with a bunch of other insects that you may not know of in certain realms. Now, there is another trick outside of this one that you can use. There are certain perfumes and scented lotions that you can put on, and the insects do not like the smell of that. I think more than anything, it's that it has some sort of pungent smell. Down in New Orleans, in Louisiana, especially in the marshes, some of the mosquitoes are too good for this, and they already have worked ways around that they'll come and get you at 100% DEET, but they won't with Victoria's Secret lotion or some other super perfume-oriented and scent-oriented lotion. So some people like to carry that. The only hard part about that is usually they're not in smaller than 3-ounce bottles. So this one is Burns. You can get this, it's 100% DEET. It can go in your bag. It's less than 3 ounces. Definitely reapply throughout the day. But I keep this in the bag as soon as we land and we're somewhere and it's hot and humid and there's insects. You can hit this, you can hit the sunscreen, and you can do all that before you even get in the shuttle to go to your destination. And then another one that just helps out with the skin is some sort of lip balm that has some sort of FPS in it. So this one's like a 15. It's made by Carmex. I carry that also. Usually when I'm traveling, I'm already putting it on. Now, if you drink enough water, your lips won't obviously chap. But when you're out on the boat and you're sitting there for 8 hours a day, sometimes fishing, sometimes lounging, you want to make sure that you protect those too. You don't want your lips chapped. You don't want to have any issues with that. So that's the last part of it. Now, obviously, I've shown you a bunch of stuff. So it needs to go in some sort of bag. You want that bag to be multi-use. You want it to be able to be used as a carry-on, used in the boat. You need it to be waterproof. Most likely you want it to be big enough to carry things that we're showing and also carry stuff that you need while you're fishing. When I get to a destination, I usually unpack my bag and I take out certain things, and then I have more room to carry snacks or lunch or camera gear or something else. This roll top Patagonia bag is currently my favorite. It's big. I think it's 40 liters. It holds everything. It's a roll top, so it doesn't zip, and it's not a waterproof zipper, but the roll top is guaranteed to be waterproof if you roll it up right. Also, when I'm traveling internationally, it's real hard to unclip that roll top and open it up and try to steal something out of my bag. So I like the roll top because it gives a little bit added security to walking around with a backpack somewhere that most people may say tourists would probably have something taken from them. Lastly, I like the roll top bag because it carries a bunch of stuff. You can roll it down to make it smaller if you're not carrying a bunch of things when you get on the boat. But then when you get back on that return flight, you can open it up and roll it a little less, and it'll carry a bunch of things. You can put your neck pillow in there. You can put a jacket in there. You can put other things in there. So I like to carry this one. It's been all over the world with me already. It does have ways to carry rod tubes if you'd like. I have a different carry-on that I use for all of my fly fishing gear, which we'll go over in a different video. But so far, that's the start of this series. That's what to bring and some tricks that you can use on bringing different stuff. Obviously, you want to make sure you have enough socks and underwear and pants and shirts and all the other things that you have to take, your actual physical passport. There's a bunch of stuff that are normal packing items, but these are things that I like to bring on my carry-on when I'm traveling to a location. And then when I get to the said location to fish, I'm gonna take some stuff out and put other stuff in, and we're gonna go from there. But if you have something that you love taking no matter where you travel, drop it in the comments. Down in the post here, I'll make sure that I put a list of all of this stuff that we just covered. If you do have other things, you're going to a certain destination, you can definitely reach out. We can let you know if there's certain stuff you want to bring. When we get into the fly fishing gear in the next video, that'll cover some specific things that happen for this specific destination. The rod weight, what lines, your flies, backup lines, all of that stuff will change no matter what destination you go. But this stuff that I went over today, I pack that everywhere that I go, whether it's a business trip, a fly fishing trip, or something else. No matter where I travel in the US or abroad, I like to make sure I have all of this with me. One, it helps me be comfortable wherever I go. And the biggest part is that it doesn't make me a burden on the trip. When we land somewhere, I don't have to go get this, that, or whatever because I forgot it. Or I don't have to go get NyQuil and some medicine because I packed it just in case. And if I don't feel good, now I have it. I like to make sure that I'm streamlined as possible. So no matter where we go, we can get to it as fast as possible. Hopefully we can get fishing as fast as possible, and we can fish as much time possible while we're there at the destination. You can't catch fish if your hook's not in the water. So make sure that hook's in the water as much as you can.